pursuit of these policies that will aid in preventing or abolishing or curing the economic decay in society. Take, for example, a country of Nigeria that is blessed in human and natural resources still has a high rate of underdevelopment and unemployment in the society. Are you telling me that it's because there are no agencies or policies put in place that will ensure that ensure that the natural tenets and drives that will ensure economic stability and development are not in the society? Also, moving forward, prevention has not stopped the abuse of rights in society. Preventive measures we are taking to ensure that fundamental rights were enshrined in the Constitution. This is a preventive measure because it will ensure that the fundamental rights of the human in society, such as the right to vote, the right to life, and the rest are entrenched in the Constitution to ensure strict abidance. However, let us take, for example, what is happening in South Africa. The xenophobic attacks has claimed a lot of lives, and this is a direct abuse of the fundamental right to live. The killing of Ken Saro-Wiwa is a direct abuse of the right to press. The killing or the genocide of Rwanda, the genocide that happened during the Civil War, is a direct attack on the right to live. However, these countries are countries with very, very strong constitutions in which the fundamental rights are entrenched. For example, the fundamental rights of Nigeria are entrenched in Chapter 4 of the Constitution. It should also be noted that prevention is just a mere saying. It is a slogan. It is more realistic than idealistic. Take, for example, preventive measures such as card readers, security operatives, and various other measures were put in place to prevent the insertion or the rigging of elections or exam malpractice. But during the 2015 elections, what happened was more realistic than idealistic, because in places such as Rivers State, in some cases during the presidential elections, voting was still being carried out, while in Rivers State, some polling units in Rivers State, but results were being announced in Abuja. In Kaduna State, notwithstanding the presence of security operatives in Kaduna State, INEC officials and various other electoral officials were still waylaid. Sensitive electoral documents were collected from them, such as card readers and the POS sorry, I correct myself. So as card readers and the permanent voters cards were collected from them, and these were used to rig elections massively. Even though measures have been taken to prevent rigging of elections and falsification or election malpractice, this has, however, not prevented or stopped election malpractice in Nigeria. Also, prevention is misleading and it leads to exploitation. Prevention leads to exploitation in the sense that there are drugs such as antiretroviral drugs that aid in the prevention of illnesses such as HIV, AIDS, and the rest. However, these drugs are sold at exorbitant prices, and sometimes some of these drugs are not of substandard quality, and this leads to lots of lives. I would have liked to ask a man what it felt like to buy a drug at an exorbitant price and for it to be turned out fit. But however, such a man would be dead by now. Also, the prevention goes a long way in creating the spirit of weakness. It creates fear and it weakens the inquisitive nature and stifles creativity in a man. For a child who wants to embark on an adventure or try to produce something or be creative, he may be told, don't do this unless you will fail. This has created a sense of fear in him in which he cannot overpower. Let us ask ourselves this. If prevention is better than cure, why would an oil-producing nation like Nigeria be lacking fuel? Why would the incursion of fundamental human rights in the society, why hasn't it stopped the abuse of rights of human beings in the society? Has the presence of security operatives stopped terrorism in Nigeria? If prevention is better than cure, has it been able to stop the Boko Haram insurgency in Nigeria, which, although it has been quelled now by the willpower and combat of our soldiers, this is to show that prevention is easier said than done, because it is only when the soldiers went to combat the Boko Haram insurgents that is being reduced. And this also goes a long way to show that prevention cannot be established in society. It is more idealistic than realistic. Now I leave you with this. If prevention is better than cure, now I leave you with this. Prevention is better than cure. Can you stop a man from dying? Can you stop old age? Can you stop day from turning into night, or night from turning into day? My judges, my audience, please, can we stop a young woman from becoming an old woman? These are natural phenomena. They cannot be averted. Show me a man who can or has lived forever, and I will tell you, and I will believe that prevention is better than cure. Thank you.
Good day, Mr. Chairman. Good day, panel of judges. Good day, members of the audience. My name is Shwan Marie Wesu, a representative of Veritas University, the Catholic University of Nigeria. We are against the motion that prevention is better than cure. Prevention is better than cure? I don't think so. Can you stop rain from falling from the sky? Can you stop the sun from shining? These are things that must occur. They can't be prevented. Geographically, you can't prevent an earthquake, you can't prevent tornadoes, you can't prevent volcanic eruptions. You can't prevent hereditary genetic diseases. Geographically speaking, an earthquake occurs when tectonic plates suddenly shift against each other, causing shocks to go throughout the earth. This devastates all the settlements around these tectonic plates. This cannot be prevented. Take, for example, the earthquake of the tsunami of 2004, the Boxing Day tsunami in Indonesia, where 275,000 people were killed. $9.9 billion in infrastructure of housing was destroyed. 20-meter high waves came crashing across the shores, killing people and destroying settlements. This could not be prevented. Again, we have the example of the 2010 Peru, Chile earthquake, in where 93% of people were affected in the blackouts that occurred after the earthquake. Again, this was not prevented. But there are cases that you can, these situations can be cured when first aid treatments are brought in and refugee camps are set up for these people who have been displaced from their homes. Again, you have the case of hereditary genetic diseases that cannot be prevented. You have, for example, hereditary spherocytosis, which is a 75% autosomal disease. It's found in people of Northern European descent. Neither I nor you or anyone can prevent our descent. You cannot prevent being of African descent. You cannot prevent being from European descent. And so this disease cannot be prevented, yet it can be cured. You have gene sequencing and gene mapping and even tailor-made medicines that help to cure this disease. Also, you have the case of prevention being a quick fix. It's a temporary solution. It doesn't fix the problem, it just solves it for now and leaves the problem for later. You have the case of, in the Mediterranean, 1,500 people alone this year have died when trying to get from Libya to places in Italy, trying to escape from places of like Sudan and Ethiopia and all these places of crisis. They tried to prevent this when they found out it was happening. They put more security on the borders, and yet it's still occurring because prevention only solves something for a short time. Prevention is like self-medicating. You're only curing the symptoms. You're only prolonging them for later dates. I illustrate this example with antibiotics. When you use antibiotics for more than 7 days or more than 14 days, your body gets used to the bacteria in your body gets used to the antibiotics, and so you're making yourself vulnerable, opening yourself up to more diseases in the future. In which case, the cure will become better than prevention because the cure will solve the problem where prevention has failed to. Then also, prevention is misleading. You have the case of HIV prevention, where they say that they discourage promiscuity, and if you are promiscuous, they tell you to use a condom. This is misleading and causes the cure to be even more necessary because the condom is not meant to prevent a HIV virus from coming through. It's only meant to prevent sperm. And even the spermicides in the condom can make the HIV virus can make you more prone to having HIV. I hope with these points, I've been able to convince you that prevention is not better than cure. I leave you with this. Prevention is like taping over a leaky pipe. It's a quick fix, and nobody wants a quick fix. Thank you.
Good day, the panel of judges, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I'm Ombogado Victor Atta, representing Veritas University. On the debate, prevention is better than cure. This is easier said than done. We are opposing the motion. But to start with, can we prevent human beings from behaving the way they want to behave? A spectre is haunting the human race, the spectre of rebellion. Man by nature is rebellious. Human beings are definitely rebellious. You can't stop them from behaving the way they want to behave. Let's ask ourselves a simple question. Why is it that we have the proliferation of smokers in the society today? In 2012, the number of smokers was estimated by the British Broadcasting Corporation at 967 million naira, at 967 million persons. This has actually escalated to 1 billion persons in 2014. Within that period of time, there has been the escalation of the preventive measures just to see that the number of smokers have been reduced. Why is it that the number of smokers has not been reduced in the world? If preventive measures work, then it should have worked for these people. It should have reduced the number of smokers we have in the society. By nature, I've said human beings are rebellious, and that is why they cannot adhere to the simple rules which lie for prevention. Secondly, our society, the society we find ourselves in now, is a society full of moral debasement. Let's ask ourselves this question: why is it that a country like India, where their ladies are modestly dressed, still suffer from issues of rape? This is simply because of the moral debasement in the society. Can you prevent that? If prevention works, then why didn't prevention work in India? Why are these people still suffering from cases of rape? You have girls well covered, so what is there to attract the men to push them to the extent of raping the girls? Why didn't prevention work for them? You can see therefore that it is the moral consciousness of men, but not the amount of preventive measures that we put in practice that will stop these things. What we need here is not the prevention anymore, but a complete end to the phenomena that are detrimental to our society. Thirdly, prevention also impedes on socialization process among children and youth. Take for instance, children that are being locked within the confines of their immediate homes, just to prevent them from bad influence from the society. Bad influence will still remain in the society unless we get a cure for it. What we need here for is the conscientization and education of people on the need for behavioral change, and that will be the cure for the phenomena which are the detrimentals of society. That will be the absolute cure for the society. What we need here is a cure. Let us remember that where prevention fails, cure prevails. I'm sure nobody here wants to fail. Thank you.
Please, if I'm not mistaken, our topic was supposed to be prevention is better than cure. This is easier said than done. Both of us agree that prevention is better than cure. But the emphasis is either this is easier said than done, or this is easier done than said. That's the first observation. The second observation, the theme for this season is United Nations and Global Health. And I'm wondering what World War, genocide, xenophobia, and all those things have to do with United Nations and Global Health. Just an observation. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone, my name is Olivia and I'm a public health student of Babcock University. I'd like to correct something that has been said here about 2 or 3 times this evening about antiretroviral drugs being very expensive, therefore HIV is on the rise. Antiretroviral drugs are one of the most subsidized drugs in Nigeria today. The Institute of Human Virology and many other NGOs get them for free from institutions like WHO and Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and give them for free to Nigerians, which is very accessible. So antiretroviral drugs are most times subsidized or free and not expensive or inaccessible for HIV patients. Thank you.
In India, I think that was a very good example of saying that prevention is more of an idealistic thing than an actual cure. I think a cure would be better in those instances. I thought I wanted to say, I've really forgotten my question. From the way they want to behave. There are some natural tendencies that are about the Oedipus complex and all that. It is very much possible to nurture someone to desist from some of those natural urges and be civil. So apparently, it is very possible to prevent some situations. Even smoking, sometimes people are cultured. People are being given some rehabs. That rehab centers, they work. So I think this could be a minus for you to say.
First observation about the topic. I believe that every topic or the topic of this debate has a subject and a rider. The subject of this debate is prevention is better than cure. This is what we are opposing. The rider is it is easier said than done. It is supporting our opposition. On the issue of wars and the observation about wars and the implications on health, War is just an action. War has recurrent features such as starvation and disease which accompany war. War is just an act, it is just an action. Take for example, during the Nigerian Civil War of 1967 to 1965, the Biafran faction, 1967 to 1970, I stand corrected, sorry. The Biafran faction experienced series of starvation. The children were exposed to diseases such as kwashiorkor, gonorrhea, and all sorts of diseases which are detrimental to their health. Also, I stand corrected on the issue of the retroviral drugs and their prices. However, let us ask ourselves, for a country like Nigeria that is very corrupt, are you telling me that it's only the original retroviral drugs that are in circulation? What we need is not retroviral drugs that will prolong your lifespan. What we need is a cure. This goes to show that prevention is better than cure. For the other corrections, I will leave it to my teammates to make observations.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, still Ombogadu Victor Atta from Veritas University. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, still Ombogadu Victor Atta from Veritas University. I'd like to give the answer to the question observation about the behaviors of human beings. Someone said these behaviors can actually be prevented. But let's ask ourselves this question. How many behavioral patterns have been prevented? We're here talking about effectiveness and efficiency of the measures taken. If prevention is not effective enough it's not effective enough to calm down the phenomena we have which are affecting us greatly in the society, then I think we should go for the cure. That is, we should go for a curative approach now, and not continue relying on the preventive approach, which is already failing. Secondly, someone made an observation about rehabs. What these rehabs do is not that they prevent those things from happening, but they offer cure for those things that have already happened. Therefore, the rehabs are there to cure those things and not to prevent them from happening. Thank you.
A round of applause for all the participants.
Sorry, please, can you do it?